Gary Bombalicki here with the Blowback Laser Trainer Shooting Star program. Coming up in a minute, Sam Dottie talks about the Blowback Laser Trainer. You're listening to the Shooting Star program with Gary the Bomber Bombalicki, and this is all about the Blowback Laser Trainer and what the Blowback Laser Trainer is all about, how we started it, and how it's being used in civilian life, military, and law enforcement. And today we're going to have a special guest, Sam Dottie, who's the inventor of the Blowback Laser Trainer. And also, this is our first program, so we're excited to be able to talk to you all about what we're doing here at Blowback Laser Trainer. We invented the Blowback Laser Trainer basically so that we didn't have to go down to the range and spend time and money on bullets and ammo. And we could practice right in our house without having to go down to the range. Not that we don't like going to the range. We love going to the range. But sometimes we just don't, we're busy in our lives every day. And so we wanted to have something where we could practice at home and save on ammo, because a lot of people feel that going down the range and just throwing ammo down the point is sometimes maybe a waste of money. But, there's an argument to all that. And we'll be talking about all these topics here in the next couple months on this program. And the show is going to be produced by the insane Daryl Wayne. He's our executive producer here. Hello, Daryl.
Greetings, Gary. How are you?
Great. I'm glad that we're going to be able to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And today I'm honored to talk with Sam Dottie, who is the founder of the Blowback Laser Trainer and a good friend of ours. Hello, Sam. How you doing?
Hi, Gary and Daryl. Good to hear you guys.
Well, thanks for joining us on the program today. And everybody's interested how we started the Blowback Laser Trainer. And before we do, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got to even this point of the Blowback Laser Trainer.
I started off many years ago in the aerospace industry. Worked for a company called Rocketdyne. Then got into what were called mainframe computers for IBM. Then moved into more specialized computers and supercomputers, and then kind of got off track of that and got into video systems and night vision systems. Anyway, just a lot of odds and ends stuff. The background that probably has some bearing on the Blowback Laser Trainer is more my interest in shooting and being an NRA certified instructor for handguns, rifles, and shotguns. That's kind of a little bit of a background.
So you're shooting and you're an NRA instructor in all the different disciplines. And so what had come upon you to create this blowback laser handgun?
I wanted to, well, let me back up a little bit. I have an engineering consulting business. And
okay.
We design products for other folks. And I wanted to be able to practice and train with pistols at least an hour a day.
Okay.
That was kind of my goal. And so, necessity is the mother of invention. So I tried a whole sequence of options. Starting with, I lived in a kind of a rural neighborhood. So although it was rural and there was room between residences, there wasn't really enough to, mitigate the noise of shooting, regular 9mm or more. So I thought, well, I'll try 22 shorts and see if they don't, they didn't make a whole lot of noise, so I'll try that. Well, of course, they won't cycle a pistol, so that didn't work. Fiddled around with a little pump 22, but that isn't what I wanted. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to go to a BB gun. So I tried the BB guns, several BB guns, and they didn't work because the point of impact keeps changing as the gas level changes.
Okay.
That wasn't good. So I came across a little BB gun that had some recoil to it. I thought, this is kind of interesting. Now, how do I take care of the BB situation? So we have products that had lasers in them. And I will just see if I can put a laser in this BB gun. So I went about that, trying to figure out how to do that and modify the barrel. And then I had to figure out where to put a battery and all sorts of little things inside of a small form factor. So that was kind of the progress there. The whole point of this is that, I really wanted to be able to train. I didn't want to have to go gather up my gear, guns, and ammo, go all the way across town to where our shooting range was, wait around for a bench to open up. I guess I'm real super safety conscious.
Right.
So sometimes you get to the range and you got some boneheads, there. And
yeah, we've all ran into those people.
And then you have to wait. And then if a friend shows up, that increases the time there. You end up going to lunch, so on and so forth. So my 1 hour of training turned out to be, more like half hour, 45 minutes, and then, 4 hours later of just waiting and so on.
Your significant other doesn't like it either, especially when you tell them you're going down to the range, and then they don't understand why you're not back in an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big factor, actually.
So you can't do that too often. So that was really the incentive behind the whole thing.
Right. Well, it's ingenious, actually.
Well, so here we are with a functioning laser handgun with a reasonable, fair amount of recoil, and that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, what's interesting is that, and how it came about of us meeting through a mutual friend, Glenn Roberts, and doing business with him. He says, I know this guy that has this gun that's just an amazing product, and I'll tell you, if he had a way to market this thing, I think it would sell a lot of them. And he bugged me for like 6 months. And it's not that I wasn't interested. It's just I was so busy doing what I was doing. I was just sitting in my office one day, and I said, you know what? I got to see this thing. And that's when we came up to see you for the first time.
Yeah, and it didn't take long for you to realize and recognize that this was a valuable training tool.
I actually saw it immediately, literally the minute I first shot it. The rest is history. I mean, and this thing is just taking off like wildfire right now, and we're real excited about that. But one of the questions I have for you that's real important to talk about is that I run into a lot of law enforcement officers, sheriffs, chiefs, deputy chiefs, training officers, regular everyday people that say, well, we use a Glock and we train with a Glock, so we have to have a Glock. I want to talk about that for a second and your feeling on that, because they said, well, if you're not using a Glock for your training, then you're not going to get the right training for when you're out on patrol or on duty. And you have some really good theories behind this and some testing over the years. Can you share with us a little bit about why that's a misnomer?
To do that, we need to kind of fill in a blank there that after I modified an off-the-shelf BB gun, that's when you guys came up, saw that. Then we decided, let's design a gun from the ground up. And so what we did is we poured into that design our experience. What we wanted was a general platform. Being an NRA instructor, we wanted something that was of the right size and weight, had a replaceable mag, ejectable mag, had all the characteristics of kind of the blended average handgun. So we worked hard to develop that, and you guys picked that up, ran with it, came up with a great tool. And so the tool, as we used it earlier and then into this new one, used in the classes, was was very, very important. And we learned that the new shooter, the novice shooter, the first-time shooter, one good way to ease them into this was to use this general platform. We started them out without the recoil, then added the recoil. But to get more to your point, as far as why you would want to train with a platform that's more general purpose, because you want the repetition. You can take your personal firearm and attempt to train with that for the muscle memory that you need to acquire, but it takes thousands and thousands of rounds to do that. Most people don't have the time or the place or the money to do that.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize that it does take that much practice.
You get into the study of muscle memory, into the biomechanics of grip, and you begin to realize that it's a really complex system to shoot. Most people don't think about that too much because, it's something that fits in the palm of your hand and it's got a little thing that you pull on, and, pretty much anybody can do it. But to become proficient at it is a whole different story.
It really is.
So there's where the repetition comes in.
Okay.
And take any, like a piano player, anything where you have to get to the professional level or the high efficiency level, and it just takes lots and lots of practice to do it. We don't want to get too deep into the biomechanics, but there's 27 bones in your hand, 34 muscles, just in the hand alone, and those have to be orchestrated so that every time you pick up and aim and shoot that gun, it has to be same grip, the same sight picture each time. So only way you achieve that is through repetition.
That's very true. And speaking of repetition, how does the recoil play a part in all this? Now, some people say, well, it doesn't have the recoil of a real gun, or nothing replaces smoke, You got guys that say, nothing replaces smoke. And I know you have an answer for this. The thing is that what's out there now in the training weapons, nothing has a recoil unless you, A, take apart your service weapon that you have now and then reassemble it, and now you don't have a real working weapon, especially with small and mid-sized law enforcement departments. They don't have the budget to take a real service weapon, disassemble it, put all the ingredients in to make your own gun, a gun with a recoil, and at the same time, you have to, a lot of cases, cock it every time you pull the trigger and do it again. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I think those systems sound good on the surface. Somebody spends the tremendous amount of money it costs to actually get one of these kits. They typically would probably do it 2, 3, 4 times at the most and say, no, this is too much of a hassle. Besides that, I don't want to be taking my service gun apart, put it back together with different parts each time. Just seems like a really bad idea. And for the most part, for general manipulation tasks, there's a whole set of those, but a common platform gun like the Blowback laser trainer is perfect because it gives you size, weight, and function, and you can do it in the comfort of your home. A lot of things that you might want to train on at with your gun, but you really can't do them at the range. I mean, rolling on the ground, shooting offhand, there's things you just can't do at the range.
Well, when people pick up the Blowback laser trainer at first, the first thing they say is, this feels real. It has the same weight, 28 ounces to be exact, with the CO2 in the magazine. And they like the fact that they can eject the magazine and then they can replace it and simulate actual live situations. Right now, we have a lot of people using it in airports, in and around aircraft. It replaces simunition so that there's no mess or damage to rooms, such as hallways, churches, schools, you name it. Anywhere where there's a lot of people organized, where active trainer shooting is being required to be done.
Obviously, you don't have paint. You don't have paint balls all over the place. You have no projectile to worry about, hitting you in the eye. There's so many pluses. You mentioned earlier about recoil and the importance of recoil. As a trainer, it's pretty obvious. again, I was talking about entry-level shooters. Maybe people have never picked up a gun before, and they're very apprehensive. So what we do is we start them off and with no CO2 in the trainer. So the blowback function doesn't work, but the laser function does. So what they can do is they can get started, learn the basics of grip, hold, stance, all those things, fire at a target, get the confidence that, wow, I actually can hit the target, and if I do this a few times, it gets better. And then once they get to that point, if you can get the gun away from them, because now they're really into it, and then you come along and say, okay, well, we're going to give you some recoil. So they're comfortable with it. They know it's not going to bite them, and then you can get the recoil going, and then they learn the recoil management. But the thing that really gets you is you realize you can shoot the thing without CO2, and after a while, you can hit the bullseye consistently. But as soon as you activate the recoil, that's a whole different story. Now that biomechanics has to manage recoil. Therein lies the need for lots and lots of repetition.
Did you ever hear the old saying in basketball about the basketball player goes and shoots hoops all day long in the gym, and then the other basketball player that envisions themselves shooting at a basket, and they found that the results were the person that visioned it had just as effective training and results as the one that was shooting the baskets? It's kind of similar to that.
I hadn't heard that, but it makes sense that, again, you go through the motions and envision what you're doing. I guess that can work in a similar situation. What it's doing is allowing the repetition without having to go find a hoop somewhere.
Right. I mean, because you have to go somewhere to practice, right?
Yeah, and so this is, at a much different level in that it's a lot easier to find a basketball hoop than it is, go to a shooting range.
Well, this is a big problem for police departments because they call our product the real estate saver because, some departments have up to 10,000 officers or more. And they have these mobile trailers that they do qualification in. But you only could get so many people and so many mobile trainers, and there's only so many points that are available to do qualification on. And some of these places are qualifying every other year now. They're not even qualifying every 6 to 12 months.
And that's a sad fact. I mean, even if they could do it once or twice a year, which would be like a maximum these days, that's not near enough to have the proficiency. Now we're talking a whole different realm.
We're going to talk about that later in another edition of this program, but I just wanted to cover the points that we talked about today. Just tell everybody, if you want to order a blowback laser trainer, all you have to do is go to www.blowbacklasertrainer.com. That's www.blowbacklasertrainer.com. You'll be able to order a blowback laser trainer. We know you're really going to like it. And it was a real pleasure to have Sam on today. As a matter of fact, Sam's going to be featured in Sam's Corner in our newsletters that we're going to have on a regular basis. We're going to have Sam back on the program again to talk more about different issues in regards to the blowback laser trainer and some of the new products that we have coming out in the future. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. It was really great to talk to you about these things, and I think that a lot of people are going to really enjoy what we had to talk about today.
Thanks. I appreciate the invite, and hope to do it again.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sam, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So this is our first edition of Shooting Star. I'm Gary the Bomber Bombalicki. I'm partner and a blowback laser trainer, along with my co-host, executive producer, Insane Daryl Wayne. And we're going to be back next week with another edition of this program. And hopefully you'll learn a lot about the blowback laser trainer. Blowbacklasertrainer.com, folks.